Hi, this is Kawai of the Klang Collage, and today I'd like to talk a bit about the Kawai K1 synthesizer and this cool little vector control tool which I made here on my iPad. So the K1, Kawai's budget synth from the late 80s, uses a fairly simple system to generate sound in that it plays digital waveforms, and that's nearly all about it. In the waveform you will find some 200 plus small single cycle waveforms and additionally a range of samples, actual sampled sounds, few drums, guitar, piano, wind, strings, choir, some noisy stuff. However, you might imagine the tiny waveform of the 80s, those samples are fairly raw, they are very short with tiny loops and some one-shots. So, to get interesting sounds with dynamic changes in the spectrum, you will want to stack those sounds, those waveforms, and then crossfade between them using envelopes. So, for this the K1 offers up to 4 sources, where each source plays one of those waveforms with an attached volume envelope. So additionally, the K1 keyboard, same as the K1M desktop module version, additionally offered a vector stick, tiny joystick, with which you can actually crossfade between the sources while performing on the keyboard to make more dynamic sounds. However, what I have here is the K1R, the rack mount version of the K1. So let's take a look. So this is the K1R, 1 height unit rack mount module. We have a display, bunch of buttons, volume knob, apparently no vector stick around here. So to make up for this, I created a vector control pad on my iPad using MIDI Designer. MIDI Designer is an app which allows you to create any kind of MIDI control, be it CC or SysX or whatever. You can drag in your own controls, buttons, sliders, knobs, and it's pretty easy to use. I really like it because it's so intuitive. And what I did, I prepared a little demo sequence and I'd say give it a try. So let's start the sequence. That's the K1 demo sound which I created. As you can hear, it still sounds pretty dry and raw. So what I want to do is maybe add some chorus. Let's see. That will do nicely. And maybe some delay. Right, and now let's take a look at the vector pad on my iPad. Here we are. So on the left side you see the essential part, which is the vector pad. Here it says source 1, source 2, source 3, source 4, each of them in one of the corners. And now you can crossfade between them by moving your finger over the pad. Well, actually, as you can see, it's not really a XY pad, it's a kind of matrix of 11 by 11 buttons, where each button will send a dedicated volume control command for each of the 4 sources of the K1. So, well, this is not really high resolution admittedly, but I found this is quite the most the input processor of the K1 can handle without too many glitches. On the other hand, gives nicely fluent changes in the sound. On the right side I added a few controls for amplitude modulation, which is also possible in the K1. For this the sources are paired, where source 2 can modulate source 1 or the other way around, and source 4 can modulate source 3 or the other way around, or switch it off. Also I can switch this right side to the envelope settings. So here I have the ADSR for each of the 4 sources. Even additional delay control is possible. So let's start the sequence. So, I hope that gives you a little impression of what you can do with the K1 and vector control. That's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching and enjoy making music.